This is a clip from the Cannon podcast. To hear the full episode and get access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.
We're going straight to the Netherlands. PSV Eindhoven's Dutch youngster, 19 years of age, we're talking Xavi Simons, who I believe scored 19 league goals in his first full year in the Eredivisie, top goal scorer in the league, playing as a left-sided number 8, he's played as an attacking midfielder, a left winger, even as a false 9. Is Xavi Simons a profile that could work at the Emirates Stadium? George, take it away.
Look, Xavi Simons, I think, is a really versatile player, really versatile attacker. You know, he's super intelligent, and he is a technical player. I think he's pretty diligent off the ball. You've seen that in terms of even against us, right? Like, he is somebody that puts himself about. I don't really agree with the analysis kind of on Twitter that, you know, moving to the Premier League, he could be an option as an 8. Some of the people have put that as a versatility to him. I really don't see that in a bigger league and a more top 5 league. I don't see his ability in duels. I don't see his ability as a two-way transition threat. He may go and approach players, much like in Martin Odegaard, where he will be diligent to meet markers, but does he win enough duels? Is he a sturdy enough presence off the ball to be an 8, you know, in the Premier League, in La Liga? I don't agree with that statement. But what he is a very versatile attacker that gives me very much the Christopher Nkunku vibe, which is essentially, for me, a very techie left winger that is more of a 10 than he is a touchline winger, somebody that likes to have close combinations within, who can have really good ball striking, to be fair, but also a lot of invention in his dribbling. But he's probably best for me as a second striker type, very much like Nkunku himself. He's a versatile attacker. He can operate on the right, on the left, through the middle, even as a false 9 himself. He can do those things, but I don't think he's got the presence to maybe be the focal point of an attack. He is somebody that works best off somebody that's larger, in my opinion. And so it's a nice profile to look at, but does that make sense when you've just bought Trossard in January and are close to re-signing Reiss Nelson, who I would argue both of those profiles are better at some of the positions that you're asking of them from a false 9 perspective or a true winger off the left. Like, I think Xavi Simons is somebody that has to kind of come on the inside. He has to play off people. And I just don't know if that's something that we really need when you've basically got, I don't know, Emile Smith-Rowe could perform that same role off the left wing. And I think that there's a little bit more ball striking and goal output there than there is with a Xavi Simons. But he's a nice player. I just don't know if is it depth? Are we talking for him as a starter? For me, he's certainly not somebody I would like to see long-term as a starter. I think there's too many red flags there that I would like to see. But then as a depth option, is he getting in ahead of Trossard, Reiss Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe? Like, these types of players are the kinds that he's going to be competing with those shared minutes. And I just don't see enough there. Because if I'm going to be buying a forward, for me, it's a marquee forward. It is somebody that I see that is going to get actual minutes. I actually think that we've addressed the depth quite well in a Reiss Nelson contract extension and with Trossard. There's enough there, along with Nketiah, by the way, who we haven't talked about at striker. Like, there is a lot of depth, ironically, in the forward areas. The only one that we might be missing is Bukayo Saka, a left-footed right winger. Now, is that Xavi Simons? No, not really. So I don't see the space in a squad depth perspective, but he is a very intelligent kind of player with a versatile skill set, right? And what I do like about him is he's somebody that's quite inventive in combination play. That is something that I think in our squad we could use. So there's benefits to this type of player. I just don't think he has enough pros to basically move on one of the depth options and replace him in the squad that we already have. And he's certainly not good enough for a starter, in my opinion.
Now, the reports have claimed that, you know, the price tag we could be talking for Simons is close to what Liverpool pay for Gakpo. We're talking 35-40 million pounds. Of course, PSG have a buyback clause, but the player won't go there unless, of course, he wants to play, gets guaranteed first team minutes and accept that deal. Alex, do you think there is a space for Simons, or is it just Arsenal fans getting very excited about a decent player from the Eredivisie, or very good player from the Eredivisie who's young and has got potential?
Yeah, it feels a little bit like buying a flat screen TV when you got a leak upstairs. It's just like, he's a vet. I really like the player, by the way. Really like him. He's so smart in the final third. It's like he's seen it before. He's almost like in the way that Declan Rice can anticipate where balls are going to drop. Like, if any sort of attacking phase, if you watch Simons, he's got this ability to just almost like know and be ahead of you and be like, that's the next move. That's the next move. He's so smart when he enters the final third. I really like him. I think he's something, not necessarily that we have, but he's another player who isn't quite the final action person, who can probably play in a number of positions behind the striker, probably slightly favours the right in terms of what I've seen. Do we need that? No. I think I see him, as George was saying, kind of more of as a second striker, someone who isn't necessarily going to be your guy who goes and comes into the Premier League and gets you 30 goals a season. I just can't see that happening. And then you think about Arsenal's current setup, and this is something to consider as well. Every single season, Arteta has developed something. Something has changed. Now, I think we're getting closer to what Arteta, his vision is, but something has changed. So, if a Simmons comes in, I'm interested to see what we're going to do. Do we change to a 2 up top? I can't see that happening, but, whatever. But I'm looking at the roles in our current system. He's not a sort of wide receiver. He does his best work on the inside. He's not an 8. And, we're looking at 8s. He's not a false 9, although maybe he could do that, but I think Jesus is probably better at that. We've just done that last summer. So I'm looking around and I'm going, he's a very nice player. He's kind of like, if this was happening sort of Pochettino's time and Dele Alli had moved on, I think he'd be the perfect replacement for an Ali behind a Kane. He's that sort of player. He's like a perfect sort of second striker just behind, can get you a goal, is really smart in the final third, has got that sort of arrogance and confidence in him that you need in that. Does that translate to the Premier League? I don't know. But as I say, I just think he's a very nice player, but that doesn't mean we need him. And I think sometimes what happens is we put 2 and 2 together. We go, it was a nice player in the Eredivisie who's doing well. He's called Xavi Simmons. He looks quite cool. He's like, where's the number 7? Scored a goal against us. He's the guy. And then you go, but let's get down to it. Where does he play in our team? And you're going, well, he's not Erdegaard. It's not Jesus. It's not Saka coming out. And then you start to struggle. So for me, no.
I think the question this opens up, though, if it's not Xavi Simons, of that more attack-minded profile as a number 8 to play alongside Odegaard. Now, if we do sign Declan Rice, who is so good defensively, does that open up the possibility of Arteta being able to play 2 attack-minded number 8s? Because for so long, it's been Xhaka's like that, almost a balance provider to make sure that it's not too much. But if you got a Declan Rice who has got elite defensive numbers, interceptions, tackles, elite at the duels, right? Can we not then go and play? Is it possible for Arsenal to play 2 attack-minded number 8s? A bit like how Man City have done in the past with the David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne combination, George.
Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To get full episodes and access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.